Good evening to all of you. We welcome to all of you, and we welcome our own study circle member, Nimisha, Shah, and Hitesh by Merchant. Basically, they are going to take us forward to the today's topic of Independence Director Landscape, evaluating the opportunities of chartered accountants. And Hitesh is going to address us on opportunities in non-compliance and non-procedural areas of practice for CAs. With this limited welcome, now I request. Now we are going to play this Operation Sindoor. Basically, for our armed forces, we'll be playing a 2 minutes video for taking forward to, and then followed by national anthem, and then followed by our institute motto. We'll just watch 2 minutes video. Salute to our armed forces.
शुभ नाम यशस्सुप्तेषु जाग्रति यशस्सुप्तेषु जाग्रति
Now I would request CA Shah to formally introduce our today's speakers.
Good evening, members. Thank you so much, Jatin sir, for giving me this opportunity to introduce our today's speaker. The speaker for the first session is CA Nimisha Shah. Ma'am is a seasoned chartered accountant, a postgraduate in data science and business analytics, and a qualified independent director certified by ICAI MCA. She holds additional certificates in DISA, Green Belt Six Sigma, and transformational leadership from XLRI Jamshedpur. With 24 plus years of leadership experience in multinational companies like BASF India Limited, British Petroleum, ma'am has driven global business services and operational efficiency. She currently serves as an independent director on the board of Tronic Logistics Limited. As the founder of BizEdge Profits, she empowers entrepreneurs in manufacturing setups to enhance profitability through operational efficiency and sustainable growth. Ma'am's article, The Future of Board Leadership, Diversity, Inclusion and AI Governance, was published in Director's Digest. She has also chaired sessions at the International Conference on Business Analytics and moderated corporate governance at ICAI and WIRC. A Guinness World Record holder for a group activity, Best SNOP Leader by ICSN, a jury member at the Hong Kong High Court, Nimisha ma'am is recognized for her leadership and governance expertise. She will soon launch her book, Empowering Entrepreneurship, 3 Pillars of Sustainable Success, focused on mastering mindset, habits, and efficiency for business growth. With this, I would now request Jatin sir to kindly present the memento to our today's first speaker, Nimisha ma'am Shah. I would also request him to present the receipt of contribution to CABF fund done on her behalf by BCSC. Thank you so much, sir. Now it's time to introduce our today's second speaker, CA Hitesh Ajit Merchant. Sir passed his BCom from Lala Lajpat Rai College, Hajir. He joined his articleship and finished his articleship from 2 sole proprietary firms. He has worked with CC Choksi and Company, Mumbai in the assurance division, handling internal audit, statutory audit and stock taking of many listed companies and trusts belonging to the Thakur Sikh group. He has worked at the regional accountant West in Gramophone Company of India Limited, HMB, as a divisional accountant. He has worked with Maersk India Private Limited. He has later also been working at the corporate office of Baroda Rayon Corporation Limited, also handling nylon tire cord division, accounting of Thai Baroda JV. Sir has an extensive 17 years of work experience in various manufacturing and service industries, sole proprietorships to global listed chains, Government of Maharashtra organization in MSRDC, having finalized the Mumbai-Pune Expressway project in 2001 and 2002. Hitesh sir has also worked with contractor Nayak and Krishnadwala, Vilepala office, independently handling scrutiny assessments of HNIs, firms and trusts. Sir has also worked with Deloitte in the International Tax Division, MNC Taxation and FII Taxation of world's biggest FIIs. Sir is in full-time non-traditional practice since Feb 2012 for over last 13 years. and contributes to many NGOs. He specializes in consulting to NRIs, direct tax advisory, international taxation, and contributes to social causes. With this brief introduction, I would again request Jatin sir to kindly present the memento to our second speaker, CA Hitesh Merchant. And along with it, a receipt of contribution to CABF fund done on his behalf by Borivali Study Circle. With this, I would request Nimisha ma'am to kindly take the charge of this session.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here today. It's my indeed a privilege to address esteemed members of CP Study Circle, our own study circle. The emergence of independent director in India has played truly a pivotal role in strengthening the corporate governance in India. Much of it had triggered way back by industrial liberalization in early 90s. And now the liberalization had propelled the growth as well as the complexity in our corporate sector. So let us together explore the topic, which is timely as well as significant: the independent director's landscape, evaluating the opportunity for chartered accountants. Let us first outline today's agenda. So we will start with why the relevance of independent director is more important than ever before. Understand what this role truly entails. Look at the current trends, review the path of becoming an independent director, discuss what the life truly is like an independent director. We'll share some reflective and advisory insights before we open the floor for questions. Is this agenda okay with all of you? I'm clear. Is this okay with all of you?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Before I start the presentation, I want to just make a disclaimer, just to ensure that we have a right perspective and correct understanding of the next 50 minutes when we are going through the slides on this subject matter. So we move to the first segment, which is relevance of independent directors today. Before I go on to the slide for this section, I want to ask how many of you are aspiring to become an independent director? Just a quick poll. Wow, this is amazing. Okay, this gives me more encouragement to drive through this presentation. Okay, so India is solidifying its position to become the world's economic superpower. As per IMF, India has more than doubled its growth, rising from 2.1 trillion in 2015 to 4.3 today, an enormous growth of 105% in last decade. The growth had been at the pace which is unmatched by any G7, G20 BRIC nations. we are poised to overtake Japan by end of 2025. And if we continue the trajectory of our current growth rate, then we will be surpassing Germany as well by latest end of 2030. The growth and the numbers is just reflective of what is happening, but the pace is reflective of the youth workforce that we have, emergence of digital transformation that we had, and the new sectors, which is like fintech and clean energy. So this growth has also brought along with this more complexity and higher expectation on governance as well as the transparency. Now, whenever we discuss about transformational boards, we normally construe this as a gender diversity. While gender diversity is truly needed, but a board which is diverse and inclusive will look beyond gender. The new corporate imperative is clear. The board should be diverse, it should be inclusive, and it should also be taking care of new expertise that we need, whether it is in finance, digital technology, ESG, sustainability, and risk management. Now, an effective board is not just a great strategy or a great numbers, it's all about values. And independent directors are conscious keepers of the board, and the role that they play is to raise the transparency and accountability that is due in the boardroom, is making this board more effective, and is a cornerstone for an effective board that we should have. Okay, so the board is not looking just for experience, but the board is also in a need of having a specialized expertise or a relevant expertise. Skills in general management, finance, and technology domain are especially more in demand because it helps the board to navigate complex business challenges. Important here is to understand that finance is one of the domain expertise which board is looking for, and the ratio is as good as 30%. Now, why this topic is important for today? Corporate governance is no more a regulatory requirement. It is a foundation for investors' trust and sustainability of the business. Increasing scrutiny and recent corporate failures have led the board under tremendous pressure to raise their standards. And we as chartered accountants inherit some qualities which are unique and aligns with this evolving board needs. This is just a glimpse. It's not there in the paper which is being circulated, material, but just for you to understand what value a chartered accountant can bring on the board as an independent director. This takes me to the next question, understanding independent directorship. Before I go to this segment, I have one more question. How many of you know someone who is serving as an independent director? Okay, great. You all can raise because I'm serving as an independent director and I'm from the study circle. Jokes apart, thank you very much. So few of them already knows some or the other who are serving as an independent director. Now, section 149(6) defines who an independent director is. So basically, just to make it simple, an independent director is an non-executive director, and he's the one who has integrity, experience, and expertise, and he is different by virtue of impartiality and no material connection with the company when it comes to executive and non-executive directors. So they are distinct. Now, the journey and evaluation of independent directorship in India started from contractual agreement in clause 49 to a legal framework that we have more structured today. So 2013 was the first year which codified independent director as in a legal framework. And 2015 SEBI LODR, the regulation had consolidated the same. Between 2017 and 18, we had Kotak committee which had suggested few norms like having a cooling period and rigorous appointment procedures. And then in 2019 we had NAFRA which got operationalized, raising the audit bars. 2020 NCA came up with independent directors directory and a mandatory proficiency test, of course with some exception. And now that we look, we are focusing on ESG, BRSR, diversity, digital governance, a women independent director, and a topic which is very close to everyone's heart is on cybersecurity as well as sustainability. So now these are the changes which has raised the bar for transparency and governance, making the board room more professional and future ready. Now we look at the legal framework and the regulatory framework for understanding independent director. So there are three main pillars that everyone should be aware of. Companies Act, which legally codifies independent director, and then there are regulatory bodies like SEBI, LODR in particular, and then MCA. So while there are other laws as well as regulatory bodies which also define and evolve the landscape of independent director, but these three are the core mainframe which define independent directors' functioning and appointment, tenure, etc. So the one who's aspiring and the one who's serving as an independent director should understand these things very well and also keep them abreast with the changes and the updates that come under these regulations. Okay, so let's check how much do we understand the statutory mandatory for independent directors. So all the public listed companies should have 1/3 of their board strength as an independent director. Now, if the company is a public listed company and it is one of the top 1000 by market capitalization, or if the company is a public listed company and the chairman is executive or a promoter, the need increases from 1/3 to half, which is 50%. Further, if the company is among the top 1000 by market capitalization, they have a further one additional need of having one women independent director. When it comes to public and listed companies, you don't need an independent director as per regulatory laws. However, there are certain criteria. If you meet them, then it is mandatory to have 2 independent directors. Private companies generally are not. But one practical aspect that I want to draw your attention to is the calculation of number of independent directors is rounded off to the next whole number. What does this mean? We'll see in the next question that we have. So this is just a question to understand, do we understand properly the board composition requirement and the importance of the same. So, how many independent directors are required for a board of a listed company having 10 directors, assuming the chairperson is a non-executive director? And the answers that you have, or the options that you have, is 3, 5, and 4. How many for 4? How many for 5? And how many for 3? Okay. So, first of all, this is a company having a 10 directors, and the chairperson is a non-executive director. So the requirement is 1/3. So 5 is 1. And then we spoke in the last slide that you cannot have a fractional independent director because 10 divided by 3 is 3.33, and it needs to be taken to the next whole digit and not rounded off to the nearest one, and therefore the answer is 4. Independent directors are not just requirement in the main boards, they are also at the heart of the key committees. So these are the committees which are mandatory to have independent directors. Moreover, most importantly, audit committee and a nomination and remuneration committee, which are the most important committee, are supposed to have the chairperson also as an independent director. Now, this raises and strengthens the oversight as well as ensures sound judgments in any critical area of the board by ensuring that independent directors are chairing the same. Most of the companies in India has started relying on chartered accountants as independent directors because they believe that they have a deep understanding of finance, of course, but risk management as well as governance. And as you can see that independent directors in this example is holding position in different industries, varying from bank to motor to Swiggy and even some chemical organizations, Mahindra vehicle. So this makes CA uniquely positioned to add value to any sector because finance acumen is needed across all the industries. Now we go to the next section, which is trends and insights. So this is when we go beyond India. The composition of board is a top priority even in the key organization across the world. So this is a statistics I've given the source, which is comparing top 200 Indian companies with global markets like Singapore, UK and USA. When it comes to board composition, I think the size of the board in India is very in line with the global aspect. Surprisingly, the independent director holding the position in 2.5 organizations, meaning it's an average, so most of them are holding in 2 or 3 companies the position of an independent, which is slightly higher than the global standard, which is around 2. And when it comes to percentage of board with independent chairperson and percentage of independent directors, I think we are improving than last year. But when you see the global trends, we have a room for improvement or moving in that direction. So These are the achievements which India has already done, but it also talks about the scope of evolution of a board in India when you look at the global trend. Now we look at the women in the boardroom. India has 21% of women directors across the market. We are talking about the sample that we are looking into it, which is higher than last year, which is 19%. And the women board chair is 9%. We have little lower percentage than the global trend, but we are moving in the right direction. We all know having a woman in the board makes accountability, decisions, and stronger. This is a statistics which talk financial performance. So really to take this advantage, go beyond the compliance which is requested and take the advantage of the same. Now these are the top companies. Where we expect the compliance to be at the peak, and then we see that most of them comply with the independent director requirements and also exceed. This proactive actions that they take reflects they reassure accountability, transparency, and the long-term value that they create, and they also set benchmark for others to follow. Now, these are the reasons why independent director is more in demand to ensure that the boardroom is future ready and more professional. Now we'll review the path of becoming an independent director. Okay, so to become an independent director, you definitely need a significant qualities. One of them is integrity and experience. It's more by talking about qualification, but certainly experience, expertise, and integrity. You should not have any financial ties with the company, although Act allows an independent director to have 2% of the voting rights of the company, shares up to 2% of the voting rights of the company. But I would suggest not to go for it, because 2% for a top 500 NSE listed company is a different value. It's a relative term, and a 2% for an SME IPO is a different term. So no financial ties basically. And it limits the directorship maximum up to 7 listed public companies. This is as far as SEBI LODR. Why only 7? It's because it really needs time and commitment. This role needs time and commitment. It's a role with responsibility. However, the Companies Act allows you to have additional 3 positions in an unlisted company. So total you can have 10, but the listed company should be 7. Now when it comes to age limit, it's 21 minimum and maximum 75, but the Act is not having an upper cap for the age. What it says is that if you want to appoint any independent director who is above 75 years of age, then you need a special resolution approval from shareholders, and then you can have the same.
Yeah, listed means your debt listed also only equities.
Equities. Now, as to maintain the integrity of board, independent directors also have a list of action by which they become disqualified, and which includes insolvency, unsound mind, conviction of certain offences, or financial or annual returns for the companies not being filed for 3 consecutive years, etc. Now, apart from this, if a company has completed, if an independent director has completed 2 consecutive terms, so independent director can have a term of 5 years, and a consecutive term of 5 years for 2 terms. After this 10 years, they need to have a cooling period of 3 years. And in this 3 years of cooling period, they should not have any association with the company. Now, if a independent director is transitioning from an independent director to an executive director, then that person needs a cooling period of 1 year. And if you are disqualified because of section 164, 1 and 2, then you need to wait for your disqualification to cease, fulfill your cooling period, and then you are eligible to get reappointed. These are just to ensure that the board maintains its high integrity and the focus on the stakeholders is maintained. Now we talk about the appointment process of independent director. It is rigorous, but it is transparent. It starts with the eligibility check and the declaration that one needs to give, that you give your written consent, you are not disqualified, and you don't have any interest disclosure in any other company than the one where you are becoming an independent director. Then it goes to the board nomination and remuneration committee, which further evaluates your profile, puts up to the board, finally shareholders approval, and then it goes to the filing of registration of companies. So this transparency and rigorous is to ensure that we have a right candidate, transparent, with credibility, to drive the highest standard of corporate governance.
Excuse me. Independent director can accept ESOP as a remuneration?
No. I'm coming to that topic. If you can hold for some time. Thank you. Duties of independent director, which is defined in Schedule 4. It's all logical because you are supposed to work as an independent soul, should maintain ethical standards, ensure independent judgment, keep company's interest at your heart, meaning being your independent director, you can't say in the board that ये नहीं करना है, बस नहीं करना है, जब कंपनी बंद हो जाए चलेगा but ये नहीं होना चाहिए. You should keep company's interest at the heart. Time and attention. You need to give time before the meetings and also prepare for the meetings. Performance and pay. Independent directors are also supposed to evaluate boards and the executive director's performance. And above all, corporate governance, finance integrated, legal compliance that they should be doing. Now the new regulation also says that independent directors should have one separate meeting among the independent directors, excluding executive or non-executive directors, to evaluate the performance. This is to really give them the independence. This report is then submitted to the board and also goes into 89, written in the annual report that this meeting has been conducted. Now, life as an ID, independent director. There are few challenges which are very common and I would like to share some of them. First is when you go as an independent director with 15-20 years or 10 or 15 years of experience, it's very natural or human to get into an operational activity. One has to keep in mind this is a strategic role and it should limit to oversight of operations. Then failing to evaluate the company and the management before joining. Here the point is poor boardroom culture can tarnish even a credible independent director. This is a very important point. And documentation. These are some best practices one should follow. Documentation is very, very, very important. And also ensuring that whenever you are dissenting or disagreeing, it is documented. Now, ignoring a ground reality is not an option. So, nowhere it is written that independent directors are supposed to go and visit the plant, etc. But it's always very important for you to understand the role and to know the reality, because governance is best informed when it touches reality. And understanding ethical and legal liability. So you cannot have ignorance as your shield. It's very important that you understand what role you play, and with the role that you have, it will also bear some liability, if not performed in the right integrity. Now we come to the next topic, that independent director's role is very significant, and it comes along with liability for sure. How many of you are concerned with the liability of independent directors? Okay, so I think you are the right concern. I see half hands raised. The right concern in the sense that if you are not involved in any act of willful default or fraud, you are not liable by the act of the company, and you don't become liable by just having a position of an independent director. You become liable only when you have not done proper oversight of going through the processes and documents which are going through it. So the liability will be triggered if the 5 main actions which are written on the left hand side is not taken care of. Documentation, voting, maintaining independence and disclosing conflict, verification, discipline, and obtain and rely on legal and financial advice when it is something which is beyond you. So there is no harm in taking additional advisory from external sources, but ensure that you do your role. Why these 5 things are more important than liabilities? Because in case if the liability triggers due to some action of other directors, you will be able to trigger your safeguards only if you have taken care of the basic best practices that you should follow. So therefore, you have safeguards by the statute, but you can activate them only if you have followed the true integrity in your conduct. Now, there's a famous DMO insurance, but this insurance is as strong as its wording, so one should be aware of this insurance. I will not go much in detail, but clauses like side A, innocent ID, and adequate limits are very, very important. In the past, there are cases where the director had DNO insurance, but they were not being able to take the benefit of this insurance for a simple reason. One, the DNO insurance was not reactivated, it had lapsed, or somewhere where the exposure was much bigger than the cover which the DNO insurance gave, and then these clauses were also one of the reasons why they did not exercise DNO. Now it comes to remuneration. There is no minimum cap by the statute. The maximum is 1 lakh per meeting. Independent directors can also have commission 1% or 3%. Why this difference of net profit is if the company has full-time director and executive director, then it's 1%, and if the company doesn't have these positions, then they are eligible for 3% of commission. Stock options not allowed. What is the market reality? Market reality is SMEs. There's no minimum as per regulatory, but in reality is somewhere between 5,000 and 20,000, and the listed companies of course pay more than 20,000. Maximum is lower in SMEs for sure, and large cap because it brings that much of responsibility also along with it, and the time commitment. And when it comes to commission, the median annual commission in Nifty is around 56 lakhs, ranging from 15 lakhs to 1.65 crores. These are the monetary benefits or the sitting fees and the commission that an independent director gets. But there are also non-monetary rewards like strategic influence and governance impact, networking with seniors, opportunity to shape long-term value creation, recognition and respect, enhancement of personal brand, and the most important for which I have taken the position of independent director is contribution to corporate governance and ethical leadership. I feel with 25 years of experience, I want to give back to the economy, and my media would be this. My country is moving from 3 trillion to 5 trillion. I want to contribute and ensure that the entrepreneurs perform best and will make the mistakes. So candidates who focus on these broader benefits are more likely to find the role more rewarding, fulfilling. Now, it is also mandatory to disclose the remuneration of directors in the annual report. So in case if you get any opportunity, you can, if it's a listed company, you can find out from the annual report of the listed company. So I've given 2 examples, particularly circled because one is in lakhs, the other one is in crore. Can anyone guess which is the first board of directors, which company? Procedural. The second one I'm sure everybody can guess. Second one. Sorry? Reliance. Reliance is the right one. Then these are the top listed companies, but also look at the SMEs. Annual payout is around 3.5 lakhs to 1.5 lakhs. This is a normal trend that I am suggesting. But the important point that one has to keep in mind is that remuneration varies by company and there are various variable factors. So please don't compare, I'm getting this much, I should get this much because somebody is getting this much. It varies. If you get an opportunity, you can verify looking at the annual report of the company for your peer companies and then negotiate accordingly the remuneration. How independent directors can make a difference? There are cases where Ratan Tata, he was appointed in June 22 amid a market skepticism, and 1 week post announcement, the company's share prices had surged by 12%. This is called premium of your personal brand. And the reputation of ID can directly influence the sentiments of the market. So there are many times independent directors on a board of a company is declared and all of a sudden you see a surge in the price in the market. Why? Because people believe that the corporate governance will be at its best. And the second example is Uday Kota. During his tenure, the stock outperformed Nifty by 18%. Now, he's a chartered accountant, our fellow member, with strong governance reputation, attracted institutional investors during his tenure. The true value lies in the ability to make meaningful impact on the company's direction and governance culture. Now we go to the last segment, reflective and advisory segment. Who should consider becoming an IB and who should not? The left-hand side suggests who should, and the right-hand side suggests who should think twice before accepting. And the professionalism with strong governance, your expertise, strategic thinking, those with time commitment, who can give time commitments and ethical influencer for sure should consider becoming an independent director and contribute leading the future corporate governance of India. And the one who should think twice is, of course, you have conflict of interest because as a practicing chartered accountant, if there are any ties which tells that you are truly not independent. Individuals who are aware of liability, passive observers, overcommitted professionals, and those uncomfortable with dissent, who doesn't believe in saying what they think in the boardroom, thinking that you will be an odd man out, you will not be liked, and etc. Now, how to prepare yourself for a boardroom? So, these are the steps that you have to register in ICAI, complete your online assessment. There are some exemptions, but I would say that if you want to get on the board, then these exams are not difficult for chartered accountants. It's mainly on Companies Act. You should give exam, even if you are exempt. Build a personal brand. Develop a soft skill, very, very important, diplomacy, governance, listening skill, and decision making. And there are corporate governance certification courses by KPMG, IOD, IICL. It helps you to develop the network as well. Now we go to the last section. Opportunities for practicing an industry chartered. So we may have very many of them who are practicing and some of them who are in industry. So there are different contributions which you can give. So I'm an example of coming from an industry and taking up an independent director role. So the paths are different, but the strengths are unique that a chartered accountant has. And there's a scope for both, but the relevance and the expertise that you bring on the board may differ. Like the core strength, practicing chartered accountant could be more on regulatory compliance and audit tax expertise, whereas industry chartered accountant can bring in more operational, strategic and sector specific knowledge. So these are the broad differences of two streams of chartered accountant, but both bring unique strength to the board. Now I have a question and answer that I have built by myself before the floor is open to questions. The first one is, we have already discussed this, can they hold the shares in the company? And the answer is yes, they can, that is statute, but we would recommend one should not get into this. Are independent directors truly independent? Now it depends on both regulatory safeguard and the individual integrity that we bring on the board. SEBI and Companies Act ensures that independence on paper, but actual independence depends on the professional courage, ethical standards, and board dynamics. So, very important to take these points into consideration. Our independent directors required to have specific qualification here, but they are supposed to pass the proficiency test. What if I get an opportunity to be an independent director in a company and I have not cleared as yet the proficiency test? You have a period of 1 year or two after you get appointed as an ID to clear the proficiency test. So you have a chance. It's not necessary that the proficiency test has to come first and then an appointment. You can take an appointment, but within the stipulated period you have to clear the proficiency test. Is virtual attendance accepted for independent directors during board meetings? Yes. With COVID, there are a lot of changes, but one should look at the article of association of the company because this option is available with a lot of compliances in terms of keeping records of the full meeting and etc. So that should be compliant before you take this as an option. And then I immediately get an independent director position after clearing a proficiency test. Proficiency test will definitely open the doors of the boardroom, but getting a chair inside the boardroom definitely needs some personal branding, networking also in place, and not taking every opportunity which comes to you, evaluating the board and management before you take up the role. I want to end, I have a video if I can show that. Okay. So I first want to thank the audience for your patient listening and your interest on this subject. I want to mention what our Honorable President of ICAI yesterday told in the webinar is that calculate not just profit but our impact on the society. Um, I hope you find this video interesting.
You there, second desk, blue jacket. What is your name?
My name is Alexis.
Alexis. Please leave my lecture room. I don't want to see you on my lectures ever again.
I don't understand.
I am not going to ask a second time. Thank you. Why are there laws? What are laws for? Anyone? Social order?
To protect the person's personal rights. So that you can rely on the government?
Justice? Thank you. Tell me, was I unfair to your classmate just now? Indeed I was. So, why didn't any of you protest? Why didn't any of you try and stop me? Why didn't you want to prevent this injustice? You see, what you have just learned, you wouldn't have understood in 1,000 hours of lectures unless you lived it. You didn't say anything because you weren't affected yourself. And this attitude speaks against you and against life. You think it doesn't concern you, so it's none of your business. Well, I'm here to say, if you don't help bring about justice, then one day you too may experience injustice, and there will be nobody there to stand before you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nimisha. She has taken us through all the various aspects of being an independent director. Definitely, the presentation was such that definitely we'll all aspire that definitely whatever opportunity comes on our way, we'll try to go for becoming an independent director.
I want to say something. I want to see many of these faces on the boards and sometimes on the same boards together. And the last thing which I forgot to say that we pray for ourselves, we pray for our family, we pray for our loved ones. This is a time that we should keep in our prayers the soldiers who are protecting us and our nation. Thank you so much.
Now, for this second session, basically will be taken up by CA Deshbhai Merchant.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Man, you have given the presentation about becoming an independent director. But generally it is seen. One example you only gave. A very prominent name like Ratan Tata and they are selected for the board of the top companies. If you watch the list of the independent directors of all top companies, those are the people. And though the name is independent director. But what I have seen, generally, though independent, but the person known to the management is appointed as an independent director. So a unknown face or maybe very competent or qualified or experienced don't get the chance to become an independent director. So what is the hurdle and how to overcome it?
First of all, thank you for asking a question. Very, very relevant question, and I'm sure it could be in the minds of many. So thank you for asking this question. First of all, I agree that the top 1,000 of 500 listed companies would have someone from the known circle, but the trend is changing. If you see the data is not so authentically available, but there are a lot of fresh independent directors taking positions, especially with SMEs and IPOs, and also in the listed companies.
There is risk, with the SME and all that. Suppose someone is joining the board of Gensol or some.
So as I said that before joining, the compliance has to be done, and all these big companies, because this act came into picture in 2014. So we saw that an independent director can have a consecutive role of 2 terms of 5 years, so 10 years. So 2024 and 2025 is a year where all of them, by the regulation, has to resign the position. Okay, so you need your personal brand also to take care of the same. And of course, it's difficult to get into the listed company directly. Also getting difficult to hold the first position. Once you're on a first board, the second and third becomes a bit easy because you have an experience. You don't have an experience, it's a different story. And I also want to draw your attention to a little longer when we look at Amrit Kal or Atmanirbhar Bharat. So by 2047, if the growth and the trajectory of the growth continues, there will be many more companies which will come into this fray, and the need for independent directors will surely increase if you look at the long term as well. Now is a situation where market is not so high, so there are companies where there are SEBI approvals to go on listing, but due to market valuation they are not going for that stage. So the opportunities are there, maybe not in the first top 500 listed companies if you don't have that network, but you can build your personal brand, stand for governance.
How to build that brand or networking?
There are institutions which I have mentioned in my presentation style. Just be part of them and attend the forums. You will definitely have the network to take care of. Thank you.
I think if we can take later on, because another topic and we are having many number of topics, so it is better. Okay, so I will request Ravi Soni to present a very well-deserved vote of thanks to Nimisha.
I have to leave due to some prior time commitments. But if you have any question in the next seminar that we have during the break time, I will definitely address those questions. All my contact details are there. You can reach out to me and I will be able to answer yours. Okay.
Thank you, Jatin Bhai. I, on behalf of Borivali Central City Study Circle, would like to thank CA Nimisha Shah for accepting our invitation. Everyone would agree that Nimisha ji has very briefly evaluated the various opportunities for charter accountant for independent director. I think many members can take the benefit of experience of Nimisha ji in the field of independent director and can think independent director as a very good opportunity. I once again thank Nimisha ji and request everyone to please give him a big round. Now I request Nitin sir to please take the start the session.
A very good evening to all of you. Seniors, gentlemen on the dais, Tanmaya Ravi, Jatinji, Viral, and of course the core committee of Borivali Central CP Study Circle. I am grateful and thankful to you to give me an opportunity to speak today on a topic which, according to me, is something that all practicing CAs should focus on. My topic is different. It is not about non-traditional areas of practice. However, as chartered accountants, since we have passed one of the toughest exams, I don't know whether it is still the toughest today, but in the days 45 years back when I started doing my CA, it was indeed a very tough exam. Articleship was not being given in good firms until you were a graduate. And today at the age of 20 or 19, you have rank holders, AR1s. But times have changed and you have to change with the times. So let's not discuss on that, let's not digress from the topic. I thank my previous speaker Nimisha for giving me a momentum to speak on my topic today, which is one of the areas of non-compliance and non-procedural areas of practice. Now, this is a little bit different topic because it's not non-traditional, it is non-compliance. I'm going to speak on non-compliance and non-procedural. However, there is a small caveat here. As chartered accountants, we are all supposed to be following the law. We are supposed to be going as per some procedure. We are supposed to comply with various statutes. Now, what are the areas of practice where we can do our practice but not fall into the trap of full-time compliance and procedures? I believe after 36 years of being in qualified for more than 36 years after qualification and 41 years since I started doing my articleship, way back in '84, seems like a long time ago. At the age of around 62, I'll be turning 62 next Saturday. I think I'm reasonably experienced and most humbly I would like to say I'm also qualified to speak on this particular area. Having worked, as per my introduction, what was given earlier, I worked in various industries. I worked with CA firms for about 9 years. I worked with various industries, various domains for about 17 years, and for the last, since February 2012, so almost last 13 years plus, I've been working in my independent practice. Most of us, as we pass CA, when we become fresh CAs, we all want to go into peer. I don't know about the trend today, because today times have changed. When articles come to, my last assignment was a Big Four, and I was surprised that when young children come for articleship, they are so specific. They say, sir, हमको international tax करना है. International tax में FII ही करना है. In FII, they say, sir, we want to do multinational corporation. We want to do expat taxation. So their focus is very, very much more. In good old days, when I started my articleship in '84, we didn't have all these options. We had just simple to go to a CA office. Okay. Those days even Tally was not there, Oracle was not there, and manual books of account. Now, of course, I'm not saying that I wanted to be a CA, so you have to go through the process. But we learned it from the bottom. In my last assignment with Deloitte, I was surprised. A young boy from Borivali. I don't blame him because he's from Borivali or anything like that. But in the taxation with me, kind of division, he's asking me, sir, what is the difference between bed debts and provision for bed debts? So I laughed. I asked him, Amit, did you never get an experience to do this accounting of provision for bed debts in your articleship period? though you are in Borivali, I said in Borivali it is not possible for you to do it. In Mumbai it is a service industry. In Borivali there are lots of manufacturing industries and bed debts are everywhere. Sir, but why do they allow bed debts in income tax? But provision for bed debts is to be added back into the computation. So this is the trend. Now, I am not saying that what they have done is wrong. Unfortunately, in our institute scheme of things, the articleship training is not standardized. Everything else subsequent to qualification is standardized. But the period of the articleship training, what we learn, and it is not possible to standardize it because India is a huge, geographically diverse country. It is impossible to straitjacket everything. Even in Mumbai, where we are more or less blessed or lucky to be in a corporate type of culture. Having worked with Deloitte, having traveled to various regions in the course of my last assignment with Deloitte, implementing SAP as a power user. Teaching onboarding of SAP, I am not a techie. Let me tell you, I am a debit credit accountant guy, simple man. We learned our accounting in the final CA exam. We had a course known as SADP, Statistical Analysis and Data Processing, where our subject was flowcharts and data. We passed in an era where what was taught in that SADP paper was 40 marks paper. What was taught in that paper was COBOL programming. Okay. What was taught is card reader. Now times have completely changed. Okay. We are talking about artificial intelligence. Institute is conducting courses, and I think our Borivali Statistical has just announced that the course is full. The next batch which Borivali is announcing is full. So a lot of things have changed. Now before I start into my actual presentation, let me tell you one thing very humbly and very politely. This was in my mind for a long time. I told one of my young associates, he is 43 years old. I told him, मेरे को इसके ऊपर एक presentation बनाना है, मैं आपको feed, I will give you the data, will you make the slides for me? He said, sir, क्या बनाना है? We were just talking on the phone. You'll be surprised. In the 5 minutes talk that I was talking with him on the phone, he made this presentation while he was talking to me. And he said, I said, sir, बन गया. मैं बोला क्या बन गया? Sir, आपने जो बोला वो बना दिया. I said, I can't believe it. He sent me the first part. I refined it, and today we are seeing. I added a few slides. He said, sir, I am giving you 2 options. I said, I don't want to speak on traditional areas of practice, mind you. I want to speak on this different area. He made it, and let me tell you, his name is Mahendra Tiwari. He's from Vayananda. He's 43 years old boy. He made this presentation, and this presentation was little bit polished and added back by one of my other associates and colleague, Mr. Ashish. There is also a member here. He's come here. The studies. Ashish, can you please stand up? Yeah, he's there. I am associated with him for the last 20 years, and you will not believe it. It took him 3 minutes to just add a few slides. And this is what I believe, that our generation, along with the new generation, should team together and ensure that we deliver value. At the end of the day, CAs will have value in the society only if we add value to the clients, if we add value to the society. We will not have value because if we travel in Mercedes cars, or we travel in good suits, or we have seminars in big 5-star hotels, according to me. I may be wrong. But now let's start with the presentation. This is going to be a participative and collaborative presentation. You can correct me if I am wrong. We will have to focus on only one very important area, and it is not possible for us to talk completely forgetting any compliance or procedure, but we have to focus on areas where our complete professional practice based on basically knowledge of the laws, basically knowledge of the procedures, we are trying to reduce it. And we will try to go into an area for a real where we will be able to discuss what are those areas of practice where we can add value to the society, where we can add value to the clients, where we can add value to ourselves. At the end of the day, we have to remember one very important thing, and that I have always been talking about. Independence is our biggest first fortran. As a chartered accountant, first requirement according to me is independence. Second is good governance. Third, transparency. Okay. All these things that Institute has been always propagating over decades, which was also said in yesterday's Saranjit Singh Nanda Sah's lecture, At 7:30 it was there. It is also there on YouTube. I don't know whether we can show it here or not, depending on the paucity of time. But very, very important. We will not have relevance in the society because today knowledge is available at the click of a button. It may be outdated, it may not be correct, but at least if you get 80%, the next 15-20% clients will come, they will find out from some other CA who will give a free advice and they will know what they want to do. We will not be able to add value because today what is happening is unless you add value to the client, how do you add value to the client? What do you tell a client that he does not know? 20% clients come to us, sir ऐसा ऐसा है, अभी इसमें क्या है, सर में कितना करने का है, what is the capital gains अभी क्या हुआ है? So we give it like stupid food, sorry to say this. My son is a radiologist and I am learning from my son. He says, Daddy, I don't give free advice even to you. I was shocked. My beta is telling me, मैं आपको free advice नहीं दूंगा. So I asked him, why sir? Beta, I'm तेरा बाप हूँ. बोलता पापा, if I give you free advice, then entire family will come to me for free advice. And I am only a radiologist. मेरे को heart का मालूम नहीं, lungs का मालूम नहीं, arthritis का मालूम नहीं. You want to get for something? Go to a specialist. I will tell you who is a good specialist. Now we have to learn from this. My son is 34. I am 62. I am learning still from my son. That's why we call ourselves CAs in practice. We keep on practicing. We keep on learning. Now, let's focus. Enough introduction. I am grateful to Nimisha to set the momentum. Let's start. What, according to you, is first slide? Our focus on this presentation will be focus on this particular slide. What, according to you, is compliance? This I have copied from the Cambridge Dictionary. Compliance is an act of obeying a law or rule, especially one that controls a particular industry or type of work. Second definition of compliance means the act of doing everything that someone tells you or wants you to do. I hope this is very clear, compliance. Second is procedural. What do you mean by procedural? Procedural means, on the slide, relating to a set of actions that is official, legal or accepted way of doing something. That is compliance. General understood meaning of compliance. But this is also defined in the Cambridge Dictionary. It includes a lot of detail about official, legal or statutory methods and processes. And third definition of procedural is relating to the usual or official way of in which something is done. Most of us as CAs will agree that after we do our articleship, by the time we pass our exams and our initial years, the first 5 years, we understand that we are basically doing compliance and procedures. For those who are in practice, it's a continuing process. It doesn't stop after that. But for those of us who have come from industry, I have spent 17 years in industry in various domains. I have done it in manufacturing, service, listed, unlisted, proprietorships turned to global chains, teaching SAP to senior qualified CAs in Deloitte, all young, smart young people. Not because I was more smart than them, but because I knew what the business of CA was about. How did I know that? Because I was involved in my business, knowing my industries, and I decided when I joined Deloitte, I was asked the first question, why do you are more qualified to work in industry? Why do you want to work for a CA office? This was asked to me by my national functional leader tax. So I smiled. I said, sir, I don't want to work in industry because it is too taxing. So he laughed. He said, do you think you are less stressed here? I said, sir, if you ask my opinion, it's easy to be in CA practice than to be in industry because in CA practice you are handling only 2 variables. 1, your office colleagues. 2, your clients. And 3rd, the tax officer who you can handle or cannot handle doesn't make a difference because he doesn't understand nothing. Then he said, then what is your experience in the industry? I said, sir, in the industry I am telling you from my 18 years experience. You have to handle so many facets. And mind you, 70% of our members are working in the industry. The focus, according to me, of the institute should be to focus where most of our members are employed in the industry. 70% are either in the Big 4 or in the industry. So if we focus on those, giving value to those 70% people, we will have achieved a major purpose. I request our study circle, our convener, to continue this fantastic thing that they have started in the last few months, I've seen. They want to encourage members from our own study circle to speak. Give opportunities to members from the industry. Give opportunities to seniors to hand over their experience. Don't let them take it to them in the grave. See, the biggest problem that I am seeing today in the profession is all of us are seniors, according to me. Once you pass the exam, we are all equal. However, what differentiates me from somebody else is what was my experience and how do I share it. Let me tell you, there are gems in the profession. Gems means hidden gems. Not those who are in Big Four, no. There are ordinary people from small towns, tier C cities. I meet them on my WhatsApp groups. I interact with them. There are people who have done body of work 35, 40 years in a particular domain. One is coming in the next speaker, in the next session is coming, Mr. Ramesh Kaur. 35 years work. He started it. He is a master of his subject. When nothing was there, he built it. RERA practice, cooperative sector practice. Like that, there is another young gentleman, a lady, RCM, current RCM, Rekha Gamankar. I didn't know her. She's from Pune. She's into forensic practice. Believe me, I had been to her office in Pune. She's doing nothing except forensic. I met her partner who's handling audits, young boy of Daisar. So I said, तुम Daisar से Pune कैसे आ गए? Sir, article shift करता था, अभी मैडम मेरे को छोड़ती नहीं, मेरे को वो forensic ही करनी है और मेरे को बोलते खाली आप audit ही करो. मैं दमला है सर, मला छोड़ायचं. तो I was asking him, क्यों छोड़ने हैं? तुम तो young है यार, तुम तो कर सकते. Sir, अभी होता नहीं है. मैं तो age क्या हुआ तुम्हारा? What's your age? Sir, I'm 44. So if this is happening at the age of 44, the burnout in the audits, statutory audits, compliances, company law, so many qualifications. In the bank audits, I was surprised recently in a group from South India. Canara Bank has announced why I am talking about this particular slide. Why should be considered a non-compliance, non-procedural areas. Concurrent audit. 537 vacancies are available in Canara Bank for concurrent audit. No takers. State Bank of India, no takers. क्यों नहीं आना चाहते? Again, having worked and with the hindsight and wisdom of Deloitte, let me tell you one more thing. In the Big Four today, Deloitte was and still is the biggest of the Big Four according to me. Unfortunately, it's not the same Deloitte what it was when I left it. Now today, Deloitte is taken over by KPMG. Deloitte tried to, it was like IPL match. आपका प्लेयर मैं खरीदूँ, आपका उसका प्लेयर मैं खरीदूँ. So they all want to cut each other. What is happening is, in the Big Four, the situation is today like this. Once you are in Big Four, you get a label. You shift from one Big Four to other Big Four because you are not happy with your manager, not happy with your remuneration, not happy with your juniors, not happy with your future prospects. I can say with a lot of personal hands-on experience, having implemented SAP in Deloitte on behalf of Deloitte USA in Deloitte India. Way back in 2010, कितना साल हो गया? 15 years back. We are not yet even talking about SAP Institute of Chartered Accountants. Do you know how Institute of Chartered Accountants maintains its accounts? Anybody? Can you tell me? Yes. The console. If you look at the auditor's report of the statutory auditor's report of the institute, please read it on the website. It is there. Search for it. Google. You will find it. The statutory auditors every year's remarks are the same. We have not verified the accounts and consolidation of done reports of the statutory branch auditors for 171 branches. Now, if the institute, who is a leader or a pioneer in the audit industry, is his own statutory auditor is saying that, imagine what is it right? I am asking you a very polite question. If we as independent auditors, I am not talking about, I don't want to talk about myself here. But there are so many listed companies who publish their audited accounts by end of April. If Institute publishes its accounts in last week of September, and that too, there's a hat-trick of corrigendums. Is it something to be worried about or not? I am asking this question to my study circle because I believe this is a pioneer study circle. This is one of the best study circles where you do a lot of thought processes and make interactive changes. We are the guiding force of this country's study circle body. Let's now go further. So our focus will be on these slides. We will, wherever you feel, it is not possible to completely remove compliance or procedure from a CS practice. But we have to focus on those areas of practice where our adherence to this is reduced And at the same time, we are still adding value to the society. We are still adding value to ourselves in terms of work satisfaction, in terms of money, and in terms of stature in the society. Okay. So, with your permission, I will go to the next slide, sir. What we will cover today: the changing landscapes, non-traditional areas of practice. I don't want to speak on that because there are a huge number of speakers who speak on that. I don't want to follow that. I believe in order to create your own brand, you have to be different. Okay. In Borivali itself, we have about 6,000 CAs. Okay. Each one of us is unique. How do you differentiate your services vis-a-vis others? I have always believed in doing that after I left Chilwell. What should I do that others don't do, and I still add value? Okay. Next, core competencies. All our core competencies, our previous speaker just spoke what all CAs have got core competencies. What are our strengths? What are our weaknesses? And how do we transition from our traditional practice areas or core compliance and procedural areas into the non-compliance, non-traditional or non-procedural areas of practice? So this is what we are going to discuss today. First question is technology impact. Why should we go for non-compliance and non-procedural areas? There is a huge impact of technology. You click AI, or you just speak. Okay, you want some. My presentation, I told you, it was made over a phone call. You ask any question in tele. Now, all these things, like even if you look today, what is the reason why we should focus on those areas? Is the cake is the number of any idea. Roughly, can anybody tell me how many number of companies have closed down in the last 5 years? Roughly. It is there on the ROC website. More than 8,36,000 companies have shut shop. Either they were shell companies or they have not complied with the returns filing. But whatever reasons, we are talking about a growing India, Viksit Bharat, we are talking about growing ahead. If the corporate structure is falling down, what differentiates a corporate structure from a non-corporate structure? Our previous speaker just spoke. It is about good governance. It is about transparency. If the institute should focus on those areas, according to me, our elected representatives are doing their good work, but the dissent, which is a very important part of any governance, is unfortunately not there, which pains me because I have lived in an era where why did I become a CA? When I was in my final year BCom, I used to go to Brevard Stadium to listen to Bansi Mehta sir ke pehle jo the. He was Mr. Nani Palkewala, Forum of Free Enterprise. He used to speak global statistics in an era of no Google, no internet. He used to read it off the cuff, and it was such huge motivation to listen to him. That was why I joined Paripal and Parik in my final year of BCom at Opera House, to know what a CA is all about when he is speaking about economy. When my Forum of Free Enterprise used to send Mr. Nani Palkewala at the institute's budget lecture meetings. I don't know how many of you are aware of it or not, in Brevard Club, Brevard Stadium, East. So those of us old people will know it. And that was the reason why I wanted to do CA. I knew it at that point of time. It was like a suicide mission. Sala passing percentage ही नहीं है. Okay. 0. I have never been a non-distinction student. I studied in Lala because I wanted to enjoy my college life. When I decided to join Lala, everybody was laughing. बोला Lala में क्या मस्ती करने को जाने का सिग्नम का मार्क्स है. तो why are you going to Lala? I said I want to enjoy my 2 years. I really enjoyed my college life. So thereafter, as you get mature, you go into the real grind of life. All of us do that. So technology is making such a huge impact that compliance and procedures will not take you forward because everything is being automated. Everything is on technology. Everything Tele is doing for you. You don't have to do any analysis. करके देता है. Okay. Next is business complexities are increasing. If you are in industry, you have to have compliance and procedures. There is no option. Let me tell you very politely. Again, I am not at all no disrespect to anybody. My experience is that the people in industry are far ahead of us than what we are in the practice. They are younger, they are more knowledgeable, they apply their minds. They may not know the spirit or the institute's guidelines or the institute's recommendations or institute standards, but they apply, they read. The biggest problem in today's generation is they are not reading. Everything is there. Now, when you read it, you have to not only read what is in writing, but also the spirit of why it was written. Unfortunately, that is not. Spirit of the law, nobody cares. Written word and then everybody disputes. Okay? It doesn't work that way. That way we will not add value to the society. We have to believe in the spirit of the law. And where we believe that the written word is not right, as our elected representatives and as seniors, as chartered accountants, we are all, it's not that the elected representatives will do everything. No, we can also do it. Individually, I have gone to high net worth assessments and I have told arm twisting, we all know taxation department, GST department, what type of arm twisting is going on, all of us know it. I don't need to say that. You have to hold the ground, you have to be firm, you have to be polite, and you have to say, sir, you can do what you want, I am not going to. आप बताओ कितना पैसा बनाया है, आपने किसका assessment लिया, उसमें funding किसका है, politician का है, भाई लोग का है. I said, sir, I am not supposed to disclose that even if I know it. I have come here, this is my power of letter of authority, this is the list of creditors, this is the balance confirmation, this is it. He harassed me for a film star's case, for a high net worth individual's case, I didn't budge. After 4 days, he is telling me, Merchant sir, मैंने आपको बहुत हैरान किया. I said, no sir. I gave him a very nice diplomatic smile. I said, no sir, not at all. आपने आपका काम किया, मैंने मेरा काम किया. So this is what our earlier speaker also said. What we are not learning in our course, and which I believe the seniors should teach the juniors, is how to use tact and diplomacy in our practice, which will also help you in this other areas that I am going to talk about today. Non-compliance, non-procedural errors. Globalization is making a huge impact. Technology. How many of us know today that most of the payments, we are all doing individuals returns, right? So bank statements that we get, I told one of my young clients who is working on a ship, he's earning about $1,200 a month. His bank statement was to 112 pages. So I just called him, I said, hey buddy, 100 बार पाने का बैंक स्टेटमेंट कॉर्पोरेट कंपनीज का नहीं होता है. इतना सब क्या 100 बार पाने का स्टेटमेंट निकला, मेरे को तो टाइम लगेगा. Sir, I am using GPay, I am using all this digital payments, 5 rupees, 10 rupees. I said, hey boss, don't do that. There must be a way out. So, we have to understand one thing, globalization, technology. When people travel abroad, Indians are traveling maximum abroad. We are using technology. Mr. Modi also said in his euphemism and in his euphoria, okay, he shows to the French Prime Minister that he drinks a cup of tea on the Jaipur and he pays him by that, scan and all that. That is all fine. But as accountants, how are we adding value? In fact, recently, Piyush Goyal has said in one of the statements, he was disgusted with this think tank people, Shark Tank and all that. He says they are not adding any value to the society. I hope we all are updated with what's happening in the social media also. Now, if Piyush Goyal, who is a chartered accountant, is a commerce minister, if he says that, and for the smart ones of us, all of us know that this is nothing but money laundering, what is happening in Shark Tank. I don't want to go into that, that's not my presentation today. But, and why we should have a future focus on non-compliance and non-procedures. Next slide, sir. Why? Because it will give us an enhanced earning potential. In the traditional practice, all of us here are having practice. Tell me, how much do you charge for the institute minimum recommended scale of fees? I'm asking, how many of you do that? Please raise your hands. How many of you charge above the institute's recommended scale of fees? Only 1, 2 hands. Yeah, great. Incidentally, I do that. I charge my 6 lakh rupees earning client 15,000 rupees for a salary return, and he gives it to me happily. I charge a retired person who is working as a professional with his own employers along with his investment and other income 20,000 rupees, and he gives me his payment. He is happy with my services. He gives me his payment. Then before I send him my bill, he is telling me, merchant sir, आपका payment last time के हिसाब से उतना कम दिया है. अगर ज़्यादा होगा तो मेरे को बोलो balance कर दूँगा. Now how do I add? How did I get this? How did I reach this? What is it that I am giving that you can't give? ऐसी कौन सी चीज़ मेरे पास कुछ जादू मंत्र तो नहीं है. I don't have a magic wand that my client को मैंने mesmerize किया. No. Now if we teach this to our next generation, to the practicing skills, it will really help and add value to the society, to our biradari, And if our Borivali is set at it, is earning well, it will be able to, you work hard, you don't get money. What is the difference between you and a rickshaw wala yaar? तो घर पे भांडी मांगने वाली वो 1800 दो 2000 दो, उसको जो मिलता है वो तुमको मिलता है. वो हर महीने 1800 लेते हो, तुम हर साल का 2000 ले. I'm sorry, please understand why I'm talking about non-compliance and non-procedure. So it is for us. You want to join the rickshaw walas and the bhandi walis, or do you want to be calling yourself proud? I'm a proud chartered accountant, Asian partner in Asian. It's your choice. I decided my choice after I left the मुझे वो काम नहीं करना जो सब करते. Very clear. Incidentally, right now what work I'm doing? Okay, let me tell you. There are, of course, I'm not the only one who's doing it. There are so many others also doing it. And they are all seasoned chartered, and I have a lot of respect for it. There is one gentleman by the name of Abhay Chandala. I don't know whether I should take names or not. He is doing shared Samadhan private limited. You know what he is doing? Value-added work to the society. Less compliance. Your KYC is not there. Your dividends have not come. Your shares are gone in IPF. So he is doing fantastic work. You know how much he is earning? Rough guess. You know how many people he is employing? He was a practicing chartered accountant. In our own Borivali study circle, there was one gentleman by the name of Snehal Kamgar. Most of them know. Most of you must be knowing. He was into traditional practice. He left it. He is completely doing only insolvency practice. Valuation में था. Valuation भी छोड़ दिया. मुझे valuation में मजा नहीं merchant में. Only that practice. So the thing is like this. We have to ensure that we do what we want to do and continue to add value to the clients. Next. Traditional areas are stagnating. Automation is changing completely everything. Okay? Rising advisory demand. Do you know how many of us know that the Big Four practice is consisting from 80% practice of Big Four is coming only from consulting? How many of you are aware of this? Though we may say that Big Four are doing all listed company audit, this, that, do you know what is the percentage of earnings of Big Four in audit, tax and consulting? I know it because I work for them. And that is the trend now. And all the so-called audits that they are doing now, they are giving up the audits. Except multinational audits, they are taking. All audits they are giving up. Not interested. They are not. It's not worth it. It's not value for money. There is no profit in it. You are employing, you are adding more and more people, more costs. Now, in this slide, it may not necessarily cover everything, but corporate governance and independent directorship. My previous speaker spoke on independent directorship. Less number of compliances and procedures. Corporate governance, huge area. Okay, teaching, mentorship. If you look at the LinkedIn handles of some of our past presidents and CCAs, I don't want to name them, it does not befit me to do that. Most of them are TEDx speakers, Joe Talks, okay, YouTubers. Okay. Why are they doing it? You think they are stupid? No. They have risen up to the level of CCM or past presidents. They are not stupid. None of them would know nothing about day-to-day practice, which even you or me would know. Third, subsidy schemes of various state and central government. Huge area of compliance on procedural practice. This is very much prevalent in Bimaru states, West Bengal, Bihar. You go there, you see what type of work practice these years are doing. They are adding value. Various state government and central government schemes. We had it in our Borivali study circle also sometime back. One of our good speakers had come there. High value added investment advisory. Yeah, this is a very big scope. I am not talking about stock mein ye kharido, wo kharido. No. Look at Rashna Ranade. Most of you would have heard about her name. She is giving tips, but no, I don't want to go into that fine people. There are people who are coming back from abroad. There are retired people. How do you add value to them? How do you give them investment? I am right now handling one such case. This gentleman has come after 35 years in Muscat. He's got about 5-6 crores. Merchant साहब मेरे को कोई बोलता है म्यूचुअल फंड में डालो, कोई बोलता है स्टॉक में डालो. I give him my advice. I will not share it with you because I charge it for it. He was convinced that my advice was right. And he's totally like in Mafalal Group where I started my career. In Mafalal Group, nothing in Mafalal Group would move including engagements with of the second or third generation of Mafia, unless they check with Mr. CC Chowsi. Now that is the type of faith, that is the type of confidence that our client should have with us. तुमको पूछने के बिना कुछ नहीं करेगा. I am grateful to my seniors in CC Chowsi who made me from a rough stone into a seasoned professional, handling SAP implementation for Deloitte India on behalf of Deloitte Global. The foundation was that. Okay. Thereafter, you have to work on it. Okay. Next, high value-added consultancy in various domain areas. You may be having clients in say manufacturing or diamonds or say shipping. Okay. How do you add that value of that industry? Write a book. Look at who are the bigger players. Offer them, pitch them your data pack. How do you add services? How do you add value to them? Next, preparing wills, trust, codicils. I would like to name him. He's my senior, and I'm sure you will love it when I speak his name. His name is Vimal Punamia. This is domain area. Nobody touches him. Ramesh Prabhu, another. He's coming next. He's the domain area, cooperative sector in RERA. These are people who are branched out from traditional practices into non-compliance, of course, cooperative sector is also governed by cooperative laws, but wills, relatively not. Cooperative sector, maybe there are huge areas where there are no, you can brush out of that compliance and procedure also. Project finance for cooperative society, redevelopment, etc. etc. Next, accounts receivable and payable processing. Have you heard about the name of this Suresh Surana and Associates? क्या काम करता है मालूम? मजदा सेंटर, औरा सेंटर में चकाला के पास 3 शिफ्ट में कॉल सेंटर चला है. काम क्या करता है? Account receivable, account payable का खाली data processing. He has a bus full of people coming into his office, being in 3 shifts. एक ही काम. Overseas का काम लो, account receivable, account payable, processing. This is done on a 25 times bigger scale by Deloitte in Hyderabad. On global level. Next, salary processing. Here, of course, it is not totally without compliance or procedure, but yeah, a little bit is there. Next, forensic accounting and fraud detection. I would request our speakers here, our conveners, please call Rekha Damankar. I have heard one of her lectures. Excellent. She's a pioneer in that forensic. Young lady from. She's completely gone into forensic, and she's doing great work. Great work. Please do invite her. Next, SAP and ERP implement. Is Ravi Raman here? Okay, this gentleman is one of my juniors in CC Chowsi. He was head of Colgate Asia Pacific. He's come back to India. He's now shifted to Borivali from Munnar. He is doing a consulting because he learned that in industry in SAP. He is implementing SAP for some pharmaceutical company in Hyderabad. He is making more than 1.5 lakh rupees a month. 1 week you have to go in Hyderabad. 3 weeks you work from home in Borivali. He is very happy. इतना तो यार साला गधा का हम लोग नौकरी किया. पहले मालूम होता तुम्हें बोला मगर यार 1.5 लाख कमा रहा है because उधर 10 साल तुम कोलगेट में SAP किया ना इसलिए तुमको मालूम. So SAP and ERP implementation, huge opportunity is there. Financial structuring and working capital management. The biggest problem of all entrepreneurs. पैसा मांगता है सर धंधा करने के लिए. Lots of speakers are there on the stories. Please do call, find out who are the right speakers and call them for working capital, how to raise funds. Cash flow optimization for SMEs. It's a very huge scope. Value-added services में, the virtual CFO services में. Everybody knows what are their cash flows. There are 2 models of business. One in which profit is accrued, and the second is profit is not accrued, income is accrued. Cash is inflow, cash is accrued daily. Okay. You do your income accounting बाद में करो. रोज कितना cash गले में आता है वो देखने का. Best example, the next door hotels on our left and right of this study center. Gaurav Gandhi here and Rajmahal next. They don't do accounting. रोज गले में कितना है. Now I am telling this again from my experiences working for specialty restaurants. Illiterate man. His business was not into restaurant. It was his passion. खाना बनाने का कुछ था. Sorry, I am taking a little bit time. Please excuse me, sir. You will not believe it, sir. He asked me to leave a multinational and join him. That time I told him, sir, I am reporting to Copenhagen, I am reporting to Singapore. आप ये काम करते हो? मैं बोला ना सर, झूठ तो नहीं बोलूँगा. मेरे लिए यही काम करना है. I am talking of the year 1998. So I said, sir, but आपके पास स्ट्रक्चर क्या है? धंधा क्या है? एडवर्टाइजिंग एजेंसी 120 करोड़ का धंधा करता है और नया रेस्टोरेंट 5 रेस्टोरेंट का चेन है. मेरा पैशन मगर मेरा रेस्टोरेंट बिजनेस मेरे से संभाला नहीं जाता, तो मेरे को यही काम करना है. आप मेरे लिए ये काम करोगे? रिपोर्टिंग, मंथली अकाउंटिंग, एक्चुअल पर्सन बजट, कैश फ्लो रिपोर्टिंग, डेविएशन, कंप्लायंस विद स्टैट्यूट, ऐसे करिएगा. 30% मोर चलेगा? यस सर, आई बी वेरी हैप्पी. कल से आ जाओ? बोला नहीं सर, कल से नहीं आऊँगा, 1 महीने का नोटिस पीरियड होगा, वो मैं दे दूँगा. बोला नहीं सर, टिपिकल है, मैं ऐसा नहीं करूँगा. यू बी सरप्राइज्ड, इन 3 years time, I left them. I did a mistake. I should have joined him on an ESOP basis. ऐसा होता, I would not be sitting here. I would be sitting somewhere with him in Europe or Africa. He is now handling his company. His name is Specialty Restaurants Limited. 160 restaurants globally. He asked me later to join him as a director of finance. I said, "Cool, sir. Why do you want me to join you as a director of finance?" बच्चन साहब अच्छा आदमी नहीं है. मैं मतलब सर तभी भी अच्छा था, अभी भी अच्छा हूँ. तभी तो मेरे को लात मारा. तभी तुम्हारा काम हो गया था. अभी जरूरत नहीं थी. तो सर आज की जरूरत है. आज बड़े बड़े लोग के साथ गया, प्राइस वाटर हाउस, डिलॉयट, सब मतलब की यारी है. सर वो तो मेरे साथ में था नहीं, मगर तेरे को तो 35% में तेरा पेड़ बढ़ा था, इनको तो 35% में पेड़ नहीं बढ़ा. 10% इक्विटी स्टेक बेचा, 600 करोड़ आया. 600 करोड़ का करने आ गया, पैसा तो आ गया. 600 करोड़ का करने गया. जस्ट कॉल मी वंस, इधर मैं मिलने पाऊंगा तो क्या क्यों नहीं. 600 करोड़ का क्या करने गया? Because I had worked with him for 14 hours a day for 3 years as a retainer. I was not an employee. I told him, sir, biggest problem क्या है? बोलते तुम्हारे टाइम में था वही प्रॉब्लम है. क्या? रेट आदमी नहीं मिलते. सर बने हो ना? मेरे को बोलते हैं मच्छी खाओ. मच्छी साहब, मैं बोला सर मैं वेजिटेरियन हूँ, मच्छी नहीं खाऊंगा. मच्छी खाऊंगा तो तुमको कॉम्पिटिशन हो जाएगी, मेरी बुद्धि ज़्यादा चलेगी आपसे. I gave him one advice, and that's why he still respects me. I gave him one advice. Sir, the biggest problem of your business is we are not getting trained people. 600 करोड़, 300 करोड़, आप कोलकाता के हो, 300 करोड़ में उधर प्रोजेक्ट करो, एक बेंगलोर में डालो. Let's create a training institute for ordinary boys to be polished waiters, kitchen staff, okay, service. जिसको इंग्लिश, हिंदी कुछ बोलने को नहीं आता, बंगाली बोलने को आता, उड़िया बोलने को आता. You see that service in mainland China. Of course, now it is India related because it's a public company. I was so impressed when I went to his restaurant. I never used to go to the restaurant because they eat non-veg. I said, मैं नहीं खाता. He told me, Hitesh bhai, you will get special vegetarian food, and you gave me your critical comments. I was shocked when I saw it. Okay? These boys who don't know how to speak Hindi and English, they come to serve you. Their service is far better than the 5-star hotel service. Sir. So how did this happen? It didn't happen because of Hitesh Murthy. It happened because there was a vision, and that is where we CS can add vision to the brands to help them to grow the businesses. I am sharing my 45 years of work experience here. It is not possible for me in 55 minutes or 1 hour to finish whatever I have learned in 45 years. But I will go further. All the other things are there on my slide which you can read on your own. But I will just focus on this slide and then I will end my session. Because I have been given a mandate to finish it off on Sunday. Real estate advisory. Okay. Today real estate is big business. और एक चीज सीखा सर industry. Most of all, you will also understand with me because you are all in practice. गुजराती में एक कहावत है. જે નદીમાં પાણી વહેતું હોય ને એ નદીમાં બોટ લઈને બેસી જવાનું. If the water is flowing in a particular direction in a river, you sit with your boat in that direction. It has happened with all people who are in practice and also in industry. Industries come up and down, cyclical fluctuations happen. Similarly with practice, clients come, they leave. Are you able to project yourself in such a way? Can you see ahead of time what is going to come? आगे क्या होने वाला है, 2 साल के बाद क्या होने वाला है? So that is where I am talking about real estate advisory. There is a huge scope. I will not go into it. It's a topic by itself. I think Ramesh bhai will also speak on it on the next session. ESG, huge scope. The previous speaker also spoke about that. Okay. Environmental is the biggest issue today in biggest corporates globally are talking about it. Social responsibilities of businesses. Our Charunjit Singh Nanda Sahab has spoken about it yesterday on his YouTube. It is there on the Institute channel. Please see it. Governance. According to me, governance is the only thing that distinguishes us as CAs from other professions. Medical profession, no governance. Institute of Chartered Accountant is still governed. It may not be governed to the extent I want it to be governed. Look at Medical Council of India. Look at Bar Council of India. Our profession is still far, far superior. And I am very proud to say this. Of course, it doesn't mean that I am very happy. A lot of things still, it's a continuous improvement process. Next, family business advisory. A lot of young CAs are going into that. But for that, again, you need to comply on compliance and procedures. But family business advisory, somebody is rich, 500-600 crore रुपया बना रही है, उसका पैसा संभालेगा, wealth संभालेगा. How do you do it? For that, of course, you need a global perspective, international wealth management, local tax laws, all those things. And this is another area that I am focusing on now, international tax advisory. A lot of value addition. Earning in dollars, spending in INR. Straight cash into the bank. But for that, of course, you can't do it overnight. ये सफेद हो जाता है. But I am happy that today the younger generation, the young girls like them, the lady in the black specs there, they come to me and I feel very happy that they are focused. My son is also very focused. मेरे को बोलते हैं पापा आपसे 10 मिनट बात करूँगा मेरा 10 पेशेंट मर जाएगा और 10 पेशेंट का ऑपरेशन डिले हो जाएगा. So let me work. आपसे बात बाद में करूँगा. I don't want to talk to you. पापा आप बहुत बात करते हैं. So this is the focus that I like in this generation, which we didn't have. I will just very fast go through these slides. So we all know those non-traditional areas. क्या other speakers will speak. I think tomorrow morning also there is a session at Badiawadi. You can read these slides. All these other slides are all self-explanatory. What are the traditional roles of CAs? What are our skills? What we have to transcend our roles? What are the technology, fintech, ये सब इसके ऊपर बहुत लोग बहुत कुछ बोलते हैं. I don't want to speak on that. I wanted to focus on the slide which I have elaborated on. I thank you very much for a patient hearing. And I wish that we gradually focus away from the traditional areas to non-traditional, non-compliance, non-procedure. Because ये तो सब अभी technology करने वाला है. You are not able, उसमें कोई value addition नहीं है according to me. Give it 5 more years, I will not be surprised. And mark my words, I have written it on my LinkedIn handle. In 3 years' time, max 3 years, I am giving it 3 years. The government will give you a data sheet on your income tax portal. They will tell you this is your income. You want to accept it, press a click, pay your taxes online, and that's it. You won't need CA for doing anything. Clear tax का भी धंधा बंद हो जाएगा. GST, you'll be surprised. I was shocked. I read this on one of our WhatsApp groups. A gentleman has asked for a GST number. His PAN card, आधार कार्ड से वो लोग ने प्रोफेशनल टैक्स के साथ लिंक किया. बोलता है प्रोफेशनल टैक्स में है, उसका डायरेक्टर है whatever. But then they checked it with his below poverty line cards of ration card. His application for GST registration was cancelled. He said, you are applying for a GST registration having threshold limit of turnover of X amount, and here on the other side you are having your below poverty line ration card. This is the advent of technology that is happening today. Problem is we are so focused on our nitty-gritties and sub-clause and provisos and rule A, 1A, 2B, what nonsense. And I am reminded of what Mr. Nani Palkiwala used to often say. This must be more than 45 years back. We have to focus on the bigger picture. We need to see it to do all this minute things. And government hates us for this because we are going into litigation. Government does not want CS to do tax litigation. No. What we should do is we should try to help the government. How do we add value to this to make India Viksit Bharat? That is unfortunately not being focused on. Anyway, I am grateful to you for a patient hearing. I am sorry if I have transgressed my area of speech. And once again, I wish all the best to all of you. I thank my study circle.
We thank you, Hitesh Bhai, for sharing your practical experience and focusing and giving an eye-opener that we should now focus on non-traditional, non-operational areas. of our practice. I would now request CA Ravi Soni, our convener, to propose a very well-deserved vote of thanks to Hitesh Bhai.
Thank you, Jatin bhai. I, on behalf of Borivali Central Civic Study Circle, first of all would like to thank CA Hitesh ji for accepting our invitation. Generally, in our CA practice, we generally engage ourselves in various compliance and procedural work, mainly because first, lack of knowledge or lack of opportunity. Hitesh ji has laid out various opportunities for chartered accountant in the field of non-compliance and non-procedural work. I think many members would take the benefit from the experience and knowledge of Hitesh ji, and the vision which Hitesh ji has told that in near future the compliance and procedural work will definitely come down. So we should have a vision of focusing on other works other than compliance and non-procedural. So I once again request everyone to please give Hitesh ji a big round of applause. There is a break of 5-10 minutes, then we will start the second session.